Autobiography.
อัตชีวประวัติ
The author wrote about her childhood in her autobiography. Banter.
ล้อเล่น
I miss the friendly, good-humored banter with my friends. Beggar.
ขอทาน
The child got lost in the city and became a beggar. Blankly.
ว่างเปล่า
He looked at me blankly, with no emotion. Bother.
รบกวน
I don't think I'll bother with dessert. Buddy.
เพื่อน
I'm going to stay with my buddy Dave for a few days. Cheers.
ชัยโย
Some people say, cheers, to express gratitude. Colloquial.
ภาษาพูด
Cheers, and, buddy, are examples of colloquial language. Cramped.
คับแคบ
This ferry is so small and uncomfortable. It's a cramped ride. Crisp.
กรอบ
Up in the mountains, the air is crisp and clear. Desire.
ความต้องการ
Saru's desire to find his family grew stronger. Determine.
กำหนด
One important decision may determine the rest of your life. Drag.
ลาก
Doing the house chores can be a drag. Familiar.
คุ้นเคย
The woman seemed familiar. I had seen that face before. Flamingo.
นกกระเรียน
My favorite bird is the flamingo. I love the pink feathers. Freak.
ประหลาด
Don't freak, Mum. The sharks I saw were just baby sharks. Grasp.
เข้าใจ
Saru's mum couldn't grasp that her son had returned. Great stuff.
สิ่งที่ดี
Thanks for getting those tickets for me. Great stuff. Heartwarming.
อบอุ่นใจ
The book tells a heartwarming story of love and friendship. Hordes.
พยุหะ
There were hordes of people pushing and rushing around. Housewarming.
พิธีขึ้นบ้านใหม่
The new neighbors are having a housewarming party. Humid.
ชื้น
The weather here is hot and humid in the summer. Illiterate.
ไม่รู้หนังสือ
Saru was an illiterate child. He couldn't read or write. Kit.
ชุด
I can't travel with my drum kit, so I always leave it at home. Modest.
เจียมเนื้อเจียมตัว
She's a modest person. She doesn't like to boast. Nap.
งีบหลับ
I'm so tired. I'm going to take a nap. Notorious.
เฉาโฉ
The city was notorious for its slums. Novel.
นิยาย
He made a fortune with the first novel he wrote. Orphanage.
สถานเลี้ยงเด็กกำพร้า
Saru got lost and was taken in by an orphanage. Paradise.
สวรรค์
The Galapagos Islands felt like paradise. Pelican.
นกกระทุง
The pelican is a type of water bird. Pups.
ลูก
The sea lions and their pups were relaxing on the rocks. Remotely.
จากระยะไกล
Her face was remotely familiar, but who was she? Shabby.
โทรม
She lived in an old shabby house in a poor neighborhood. Shelter.
ที่หลบภัย
After the storm, we had to live in a temporary shelter. Slum.
สลัม
He lived in a big city slum for many years. Snorkel.
ดำน้
On the Galapagos Islands, you can snorkel with sea turtles. Source.
ำแหล่งที่มา
The changing tide is a source of amazement to me. Star-studded.
ดารา
Her new film is star-studded. Many celebrities appear on it. Sticky.
เหนียว
The weather is hot and humid, and it can get a little sticky. Suppose.
สมมุติ
I suppose what I miss most about my country is the food. Swing.
แกว่ง
Having all that money could really swing it for us. Tide.
น้ำขึ้นน้ำลง
We watched the rising tide from the promenade. Tongue.
ลิ้น
Everyone around me was speaking in an unfamiliar tongue. Upbeat.
จังหวะ
He's very optimistic and upbeat about his future. Venture.
ร่วมทุน
Saru's mum didn't venture into the city. It was too far. Vivid.
มีชีวิตชีวา
He had vivid memories about his childhood. Vote.
โหวต
I'm a foreigner so I don't have a national vote here. Wander.
เตร็ดเตร่
He was lost. All he could do was to wander the streets alone. Weathered.
ผุกร่อน
Her face was weathered, but she was still beautiful. Abolish.
ยกเลิก
We should abolish the royal family. Aisle.
ทางเดิน
I'm used to walking down the aisle on planes. Anxious.
กังวล
Hotel owners are anxious about TripAdvisor feedback. Awe.
ความกลัว
The sight of the northern lights filled me with awe. Beeping.
เสียงบีบ
I heard the beeping sound when the machine finished. Bleed.
เลือดออก
I cut my finger and it started to bleed. Botanist.
นักพฤกษศาสตร์
A botanist is an expert in the scientific study of plants. Buzzing.
หึ่ง
That buzzing fly is getting on my nerves. Chute.
ราง
The aircrew showed us the position of the emergency chute. Circumnavigate.
อ้อม
Jean Barrett was the first woman to circumnavigate the globe. Clog.
อุดตัน
We have to reduce plastic waste or this will clog the oceans. Compensate.
ชดเชย
He bought a present to compensate for being late. Consequence.
ผลที่ตามมา
Ruined beaches is a consequence of too much plastic waste. Consider.
พิจารณา
Do you consider Hawaii a place where you can find paradise? Crew.
ลูกทีม
One of the crew members told us to disembark the aircraft. Culprit.
ผู้ร้าย
The real culprit of plastic waste is our shopping habits. Current.
ปัจจุบัน
The sea currents have created 5 garbage patches. Devastating.
ทำลายล้าง
Plastic waste might have devastating consequences. Disbelief.
ไม่เชื่อ
He looked at her with disbelief. Was she in danger? Donate.
บริจาค
My brother is undergoing surgery so I'm going to donate blood. Dull.
น่าเบื่อ
My life was a bit dull until I discovered parachuting. Dump.
การถ่ายโอนข้อมูล
It's strictly forbidden to dump rubbish overboard. Expat.
ชาวต่างชาติ
He's an American expat. He left the country when he was 20. Fake.
ปลอม
Don't believe everything you read online. Some news is fake. Fancy.
ไม่ธรรมดา
I really fancy a cup of tea. Float.
ลอย
The best part of parachuting is when you float through the sky. Freaky.
นอกลู่นอกทาง
It was freaky to walk down the aisle of the plane to jump out. Freefall.
ตกฟรี
You get 60 seconds of freefall before the parachute opens. Garbage.
ขยะ
There is a garbage patch in the Pacific made of plastic. Glad.
ยินดี
I'm so glad you finally came. Gobble.
ฮุบ
Some small fish gobble tiny plastic fragments. Grain.
ธัญพืช
There were billions of plastic flecks among the grains of sand. Gravity.
แรงโน้มถ่วง
Have you ever experienced zero gravity? Herbalist.
นักสมุนไพร
She loved plants and worked as a herbalist. Impose.
กำหนด
All governments should impose a tax on plastic bags. Infinite.
ไม่มีที่สิ้นสุด
Our life is full of an infinite number of plastic products. Isolated.
โดดเดี่ยว
Hawaii is an isolated island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Jellyfish.
แมงกระพรุน
We couldn't dive in the sea because there were jellyfish. Jute.
ปอกกระเจ้า
Plastic bags can be replaced with natural jute bags. Lethal.
ร้ายแรง
The amount of plastic humans generate could be lethal. Literally.
อย่างแท้จริง
When I jumped out the plane, I literally forgot to breathe. Litter.
ขยะ
Since 1994, plastic litter has increased by 140%. Misleading.
ทำให้เข้าใจผิด
Room descriptions on the hotel website can be misleading. Native.
พื้นเมือง
She's met a lot of native people, such as the Kuna Indians. Navigation.
การนำทาง
The stormy weather made navigation more difficult. Navy.
กองทัพเรือ
The two Navy ships circumnavigated the globe. Obscenity.
อนาจาร
Single-use water bottles are a wasteful obscenity. Patch.
ปะ
The garbage patch is double the size of France. Peasant.
ชาวนา
She was born in the countryside to a peasant family. Portion.
ส่วน
I've only eaten one portion of vegetables today. Rank.
อันดับ
Parachuting ranks second in my bucket list. Reject.
ปฏิเสธ
We need to reject the main culprits of plastic waste. Remove.
ลบ
We volunteer to remove garbage from the beach. Resign.
ลาออก
I'm not happy at work, so I'm going to resign. Rival.
คู่แข่ง
An executive posted fake reviews of his rival's company. Rush.
รีบ
I felt a rush of cold air when I walked out. Sailor.
กะลาสี
Jean Barrett was a sailor who circumnavigated the globe. Setting.
การตั้งค่า
Hawaii has been the setting of countless TV series and films. Shimmering.
ส่องแสง
The northern lights were like a shimmering curtain. Slosh.
โคลน
Tons of plastic slosh around in the sea. Soil.
ดิน
As they say, don't soil your own nest. Spin.
ปั่น
The sight of blood made my head spin. Spurn.
ปฏิเสธ
We need to publicly spurn the culprits. Staggered.
เซ
I was staggered to discover beaches covered in plastic. Sting.
ต่อย
Don't go into the sea or the jellyfish will sting you. Stress.
ความเครียด
I'd like to stress that fake online reviews are an exception. Stroll.
เดินเล่น
The beach was just a stroll away from the hotel. User-generated.
ผู้ใช้สร้างขึ้น
Many hotel review websites include user-generated content. Vein.
หลอดเลือดด
The nurse found the vein and introduced the needle. Voyage.
ำ การเดินทาง
Have you ever been on a sea voyage? Wasteful.
สิ้นเปลือง
Using all that plastic is just wasteful. Adapt.
ปรับ
They are going to adapt my latest novel for film. Alert.
เตือน
Alert the police. There's someone in the house. Alien.
คนต่างด้าว
Some people think the world is an alien and frightening place. Alight.
ลง
His gaze came to alight on the hanging figure of the woman. Anchorage.
ทอดสมอ
Make sure the ladder has firm anchorage before you go up. Anonymous.
ไม่ระบุชื่อ
An anonymous donor gave us £5,000 for the startup. Apparently.
เห็นได้ชัดว่า
Apparently, he lives in a castle. Beckon.
กวักมือเรียก
Why did he beckon to me? I'm certainly not following him. Beehive.
รัง
I'd love to have a beehive and harvest honey. Beekeeper.
คนเลี้ยงผึ้ง
If you like bees so much, why don't you become a beekeeper? Bureaucracy.
ระบบราชการ
Citizens have to get through much bureaucracy to get a permit. Clinging.
ยึดมั่น
I saw a clinging woman in the balcony. Clutch.
คลัด
Clutch firmly to the railings or you may fall. Commuter.
ครบ
I'm a commuter. I travel from home to work every day. Congratulate.
ขอแสดงความยินดี
Did you congratulate her on the good news? Constituent.
ส่วนประกอบ
Melodrama is a frequent constituent of real life. Descend.
ลงมา
Once she got to the top, she started to descend. Discharge.
ปล่อย
It took the doctor ages to discharge me from hospital. Dummy.
ดัมมี่
They used a dummy for the crash test. Encounter.
เผชิญ
It's so uplifting when you encounter the kindness of strangers. Entwine.
โอบ
I entwined my fingers with his. feebly.
อ่อนแอ
She smiled feebly, as if she was really tired. Gas.
แก๊ส
He tried to gas himself, but fortunately, he didn't succeed. Gaze.
จ้องมอง
His gaze followed her as she left the room. Ghastliness.
ความน่าขยะแขยง
Not everything has to be about ghastliness and wrongdoing. Gossip.
ซุบซิบ
The rescue of the girl became the focus of gossip. Hard-headed.
หัวแข็ง
I have a hard-headed, realistic view of history. Haunting.
หลอน
She usually writes haunting dramas which are truly evocative. Hedge.
ป้องกันความเสี่ยง
A hedge surrounded the house, creating a natural fence. Interpretation.
การตีความ
My first interpretation of the scene was clearly wrong. Liquids.
ของเหลว
Don't forget you can't take liquids onto planes. Massacre.
การสังหารหมู่
Hundreds of people died in the attack. It was a massacre. Matinee.
รอบบ่าย
Don't miss the matinee performance on Saturday. Melodrama.
เรื่องประโลมโลก
As an abandoned child, his early life was full of melodrama. Memorable.
น่าจดจ
Traveling to a war zone was a memorable experience. Misogynistic.
ำเกลียดผู้หญิง
Misogynistic stories are not so popular these days. Novelty.
ความแปลกใหม่
It was a relief when the novelty wore off. Overqualified.
มีคุณสมบัติเกิน
I'm afraid you are overqualified for this position. Paved.
ปู
There was a paved court down the alley. Plot.
พล็อต
What's the plot or the story of the film? Pour.
เท
Let me pour the boiling water for you. Prolific.
อุดมสมบูรณ์
Ruth Rendell was a prolific writer. She wrote many books. Prompt.
เพราะไหม
The prompt action of a neighbor saved my life. Railings.
ราวบันได
The girl was hanging from the railings of the balcony. Recover.
ฟื้นตัว
You'll have to stay in hospital until you fully recover. Refreshing.
สดชื่น
It's refreshing to hear good news for a change. Refugee.
ผู้ลี้ภัย
As a refugee myself, I know how hard it can be to flee home. Regime.
ระบอบการปกครอง
The old regime was against individual freedom. Relieved.
โล่งใจ
I was relieved when I heard she was safe. Rescue.
กู้ภัย
The rescue of the girl became the focus of gossip. Sequel.
ผลสืบเนื่อง
I watched the first movie, but I haven't seen the sequel yet. Shield.
โล่
I covered my eyes with my hand to shield them from the sun. Speculation.
การเก็งกำไร
It was all speculation. Nobody knew what was happening. Squeaky.
ส่งเสียงดังเอี้ย
I can't stand her voice. It's so high-pitched and squeaky. Stunt.
การแสดงความสามารถ
It was her job to do the dangerous stunts in the movie. Tenant.
ผู้เช่า
All the tenants agree the lift must be repaired. Territorial.
ดินแดน
Territorial disputes are a common source of conflict. Thriller.
หนังระทึกขวัญ
Her new movie as director is a psychological thriller. Tow.
พ่วง
If you park there, they will tow your car away. Trailer.
รถพ่วง
Have you seen the trailer of the movie? Twist.
บิด
In an unexpected twist, the villain becomes the hero. Unarmed.
ไม่มีอาวุธ
They opened fire on unarmed people. Unwilling.
ไม่เต็มใจ
He was an unwilling hero. He didn't want to become one. Vanishing.
หายไป
She looked at him in the vanishing light. Vicious.
เลวทราม
The assault was extraordinarily vicious. Weirdness.
ความแปลกประหลาด
I loved the weirdness of the play. It made it interesting. Whodunit.
สืบสวนสอบสวน
The film is a whodunit set in Egypt. Windscreen.
กระจกบังลม
There was a fine on my car's windscreen. Abused.
ถูกทารุณกรรม
The word literally is so abused these days. Anti-royalist.
ผู้ต่อต้านราชวงศ์
I'm an anti-royalist. I think monarchy should be abolished. Applaud.
ปรบมือ
I applaud people who live the life they want. Atheist.
ผู้ที่ไม่เชื่อในพระเจ้า
I'm an atheist. I think religion is a way of brainwashing people. Bogus.
ปลอม
Don't believe everything you read. That's clearly a bogus story. Challenging.
ที่ท้าทาย
Separating fact from fiction has become more challenging. Charade.
ปริศนา
It looked respectable, but it was nothing more than a charade. Coat.
เสื้อโค้ท
Coat the carrots in Parmesan cheese. They taste delicious. Coincidence.
เหตุบังเอิญ
It wasn't a coincidence that the winner was a family member. Convict.
นักโทษ
He's guilty of armed robbery and the judge will convict him. Corridor.
ทางเดิน
My office is at the end of the corridor. Credible.
น่าเชื่อถือ
Make sure you read stories from credible news sources. Deed.
โฉนด
I ask forgiveness for my dreadful deed. Deeply held.
เก็บไว้ลึก
The news challenged my deeply held belief in democracy. Die hard.
ตายยาก
I'm a die-hard Arsenal supporter. Dreadful.
น่ากลัว
My deed was dreadful and I apologize for it. Emotional.
ทางอารมณ์
My granddad travels with his dog for emotional support. Exaggeration.
พูดเกินจริง
There's a difference between exaggeration and an outright lie. Extinct.
สูญพันธุ์
Mammoths went extinct thousands of years ago. Fabrication.
ประดิษฐ์
The news was a total fabrication. Fantasist.
นักเพ้อฝัน
Don't read that trash. It's been clearly written by a fantasist. Fatal.
ร้ายแรง
The wound was fatal and she died shortly after. Frantically.
เมามัน
The man searched the park frantically for his missing child. Fringe.
ขอบ
Conspiracy theories often appear on fringe news websites. Haunt.
หลอกหลอน
The vision of him running after the bus will haunt me forever. Havoc.
ความเสียหาย
Hurricane Irma caused real havoc in the Caribbean. Hypocrite.
พวกไม่จริงใจ
She says she's vegan, but she eats bacon. She's a hypocrite. Insert.
แทรก
Insert the coins and select your destination. Liberating.
ปลดปล่อย
Cycling after work feels so liberating. Mainstream.
กระแสหลัก
I prefer going to mainstream news outlets to get the news. Naturist.
นักธรรมชาติวิทยา
If he's a naturist, how come he's wearing clothes at home? Oblige.
บังคับ
The law obliges you to pay your taxes. Pacifist.
ผู้สงบ
I'm a total pacifist and believe war is never the answer. Peel.
ปอก
Don't peel the apple, please. I like to eat it with the skin. Phenomenon.
ปรากฏการณ์
Some politicians take advantage of the fake news phenomenon. Piercing.
เจาะ
Where did you get your new piercing done? Post-truth.
โพสต์ความจริง
I don't believe we live in a post-truth age. Scalding.
น้ำร้อนลวก
The soup was scalding hot. Scanner.
เครื่องสแกน
An MRI scanner could be problematic if you have tattoos. Scarred.
มีแผลเป็น
He was scarred for life after the attack. Shut eye.
ปิดตา
I tried to get some shut eye during the bus ride. Stale.
เหม็นอับ
This bread has gone stale. Starving.
หิวโหย
I didn't eat before going to work and I was starving. Stingy.
ตระหนี่
My friend is very stingy. I always have to pay for lunch when we eat together. Technophobe.
เทคโน
My son is a technophobe. He doesn't even have a smartphone. Teetotaler.
คนขี้เมา
If he's a teetotaler, how come he's drinking wine? Temptation.
สิ่งโลดใจ
The temptation was too great and I couldn't resist. Unsuspecting.
ไม่สงสัย
The unsuspecting diners enjoyed the meal regardless. Untruth.
ความจริง
The story was full of exaggerations and untruths. Vegan.
มังสวิรัติ
As a vegan, I don't eat food from animal sources. Victory.
ชัยชนะ
He won the tournament and everyone applauded his victory. Water.
น้ำไหล
I could smell the food, which made my mouth water. Xenophobe.
โรคกลัวชาวต่างชาติ
Don't believe any of her stories about immigrants. She's a xenophobe. Blaze.
เปลวไฟ
It took 50 firefighters to put out the blaze. Boomerang.
บูมเมอแรง
My son belongs to the boomerang generation. He left home and now he's back with us. Chilly.
หนาว
Pack a warm jumper. The evenings are still chilly. Chore.
งานบ้าน
Ironing is the household chore I hate the most. Convinced.
มั่นใจ
I'm convinced you'll win the game. You're so good at it. Debt.
หนี้
I asked for a student loan and now I have to pay my debt. Defensive.
ป้องกัน
Stop being so defensive and learn how to take criticism. Differ.
แตกต่างกัน
Their views on the matter differ greatly. Discount.
การลดราคา
Don't discount that possibility. You may as well be lucky. Inquiry.
สอบถาม
Please contact me if you have another inquiry. Excerpt.
ข้อความที่ตัดตอนมา
Listen to this excerpt from a radio program. It's hilarious. Fasten.
ยึด
Keep your seatbelt fastened in case of turbulence. Flee.
หนี
I'm going to flee the nest next summer to live with a friend. Intuition.
ปรีชา
I trust my own intuition when it comes to books. Legacy.
มรดก
My uncle left me a small legacy when he died. Operator.
ผู้ประกอบการ
Dial 4 if you want to talk to an operator. Overstated.
พูดเกินจริง
The idea that we will rely heavily on technology is overstated. Query.
สอบถาม
Go ahead and ask. What's your query? Reckon.
คำนวณ
How do you reckon the world will be different when you're old? Rooted.
อย่างราก
I don't think we're rooted beings, like trees. Seek.
แสวงหา
Don't think so much about the problem and seek solutions. Standstill.
หยุดนิ่ง
Remain seated until the plane comes to a complete standstill. Turbulence.
ความปั่นป่วน
Keep your seatbelt fastened in case of turbulence. Upright.
ตรง
Put the seats in the upright position for takeoff. Volume.
ปริมาณ
The volume of calls increased dramatically after the show. Accelerate.
เร่งความเร็ว
The car accelerated and disappeared in the traffic. Afford.
จ่ายได้
I'd love to buy an electric car, but I can't afford it. Apartheid.
การแบ่งแยกสีผิว
Elon Musk grew up in South Africa during the apartheid. Assemble.
ประกอบ
I've just bought a new table. Will you help me assemble it? Avoid.
หลีกเลี่ยง
I can't avoid thinking it was all my fault. Boom.
บูม
If you want your business to boom, you have to work hard. Budge.
ขยับตัว
I don't agree. Sorry. I won't budge on that. Bully.
ข่มเหงรังแก
There was this boy at school who used to bully me. Demonstrate.
สาธิต
Don't just say it. Demonstrate it. Discipline.
การลงโทษ
There was too much discipline during his childhood. Diversify.
กระจาย
If you want to grow your business, you have to diversify. Dock.
ท่าเรือ
The rocket is going to dock with the International Space Station. Driven.
ขับเคลื่อน
My wife is a driven businesswoman. Endless.
ไม่มีที่สิ้นสุด
Most kids enjoy games which allow for endless creativity. Enthusiastic.
กระตือรือร้น
I'm not very enthusiastic about this project. Entire.
ทั้งหมด
The entire building had to be evacuated. Feature.
คุณสมบัติ
What is the main feature of the product? Figure.
รูป
This policewoman is my favorite Lego figure. Flatpack.
แพ็คแบน
Is this a flatpack bookcase? Harsh.
รุนแรง
Don't be too harsh on him. He said he's sorry. Horrified.
ตกใจ
I was horrified when I found out how expensive the sofa was. Impressive.
ประทับใจ
The view from my window is impressive. Invoice.
ใบแจ้งหนี้
I sent an invoice a month ago and I haven't been paid yet. Lock.
ล็อก
Most building bricks lock together very easily. Mail order.
สั่งซื้อทางไปรษณีย์
I bought this dress from a mail order catalog. Masses.
ฝูง
I've got masses of homework to do. Motto.
ภาษิต
Live and let live. That's my motto. Quadruple.
สี่เท่า
Believe me, after the ad the sales will quadruple. You'll see. Relocation.
การย้ายถิ่นฐาน
We are planning a relocation of the warehouse. Sane.
มีสติ
Keep yourself busy if you want to keep sane. Spare.
สำรอง
He made toys out of spare bits of wood. Storage.
พื้นที่จัดเก็บ
Flat-pack furniture brought huge savings in storage. Store.
เก็บ
They opened their first furniture store out of town. Struggle.
การต่อสู้
Life growing up was easy for me. Not a struggle. Supplier.
ผู้จัดหา
We need to find a new wood supplier. Tape.
เทป
Tape the legs underneath the table. It will save space. Umpteen.
มากมาย
I've got umpteen jobs to do this afternoon. Unscrew.
คลายเกลียว
You have to unscrew the bolts to open the toy. Varnish.
วานิช
If you put an extra layer of varnish, it will last longer. Venture.
ร่วมทุน
My first business venture was a complete disaster. Antiquated.
โบราณ
This phone may seem a little antiquated, but it works fine. Astrologer.
โหราจารย์
An astrologer predicted my future when I was 14. Blessing.
อวยพร
You have my blessing and I wish you happiness. Bliss.
ความสุข
My married bliss didn't last long. I had to get back to India. Bump.
กระแทก
The bike bumped along the road. Caste.
วันนะ
I never really understood the Indian caste system. Coaching.
การฝึกสอน
Coaching could be very useful when you're learning a new job. Companion.
สหาย
I traveled with a companion in a camper van. Consultancy.
การให้คำปรึกษา
Some consultancy services can be expensive. Convert.
แปลง
Our relationship didn't convert into marriage. Designated.
กำหนด
You can smoke in the designated area only. Ditch.
คูน้ำ
Why don't you ditch that old bike and buy a new one? Exhausted.
เหนื่อย
I was exhausted after the 10-hour flight. Fee.
ค่าธรรมเนียม
They charge a very high fee for their services. Field.
สนาม
I haven't found any job in my field. Fond.
รัก
I'm rather fond of you. Gender.
เพศ
The gender balance is 60% women, 40% men. Hippie.
ฮิปปี้
I biked along the hippie trail in the 1960s. Initially,
ในขั้นต้น
I thought nothing made sense. Inscribe.
จารึก
They are going to inscribe your name on the trophy. Intense.
เข้มข้น
Farewells are moments of intense emotions. Introverted.
เก็บตัว
Introverted people find it hard to socialize in large groups. Knackered.
น่อง
I'm knackered. Can we stop for a rest? Loaded.
โหลด
They don't worry about money because they're loaded. Mark.
เครื่องหมาย
I said goodbye to him, but I knew this wouldn't mark the end. Matchmake.
การจับคู่
Why are you trying to matchmake me with him? Notion.
ความคิด
The notion of matchmaking seems odd to me. Overcome.
เอาชนะ
I was overcome with emotion. Portrait.
ภาพเหมือน
That was the artist who drew my portrait. Propose.
เสนอ
She knelt down and proposed. I think we should get married. Pushbike.
รถเข็นเด็ก
Can I borrow your pushbike to go to the shop? Range.
พิสัย
My clients range between the ages of 22 to 50. Short-lived.
อายุสั้น
My happiness was short-lived. I had to go back to work. Sketch.
ร่าง
First I sketch the portrait and then I draw it. Soulmates.
เพื่อนร่วมวิญญาณ
Me and my boyfriend are soulmates. Synopsis.
เรื่องย่อ
I read the synopsis of the story and it didn't interest me. Trek.
ช่วงระยะการเดินทาง
It was a long trek back to the hotel. Understatement.
พูดน้อย
To say they liked each other was clearly an understatement. Uneasy.
ไม่สบายใจ
I felt a little uneasy after the fight, so I apologized. Untouchable.
จันทาน
He belonged to the untouchable caste. Willpower.
จิตตานุภาพ
I don't exercise regularly because I lack willpower. Worship.
สักการะ
I worship the ground you walk on. Addicted.
ติดเสพติด
My daughter is addicted to computers. Adjacent.
ที่อยู่ติดกัน
Our hotel rooms are adjacent. Authorities.
เจ้าหน้าที่
The park authorities came because he was destroying the bushes. Board.
กระดาน
He built a sled out of a wooden board. Bobsled.
บ๊อบสเลด
Have you ever tried bobsled? It looks exciting. Boiling.
เดือด
Don't eat the soup yet. It's boiling hot. Camouflage.
ลายพราง
He camouflaged the tree houses with branches. Cement.
ปูนซีเมนต์
Cement is mixed with other materials to make concrete. Cinematography.
ภาพยนตร์
I love the cinematography of this film. It's superb. Comforting.
ปลอบโยน
After the funeral, we thanked everyone for their comforting words. Command.
สั่งการ
My flat commands spectacular views of the park. Dehydrate.
คายน้
After a 2-hour walk in the desert, we started to dehydrate. Diabetes.
ำโรคเบาหวาน
People who eat too much sugar risk getting diabetes. Dismantle.
หรือ
I can help you dismantle the treehouse if you want. Dive.
ดำน้
You have to push and dive on the sled. Elaborate.
ำขยายความ
That's quite an elaborate story you had told us. Exception.
ข้อยกเว้น
I know you usually have lunch at school. Today is an exception. Fluid.
ของเหลว
You lose energy and a lot of fluid when you exercise. Glitter.
แวว
Her golden earrings glittered in the sun. Hectic.
วุ่นวาย
She had such a hectic life. She never took a year off. Hilarious.
ตลกขบขัน
That joke was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. Hum.
ครวญเพลง
I sometimes hum to myself when I'm listening to my iPod. Hurtle.
พุ่ง
I wouldn't like to hurtle down an ice track. It's too dangerous. Improbable.
ไม่น่าจะเป็นไปได้
Most of his stories sound improbable. Miserable.
น่าเวทนา
We had miserable weather during our holidays. Moan.
คราง
I don't want to hear you moan about your lost Olympic dreams. Mournful.
โศกเศร้า
He watched with mournful eyes the destruction of the houses. Nail.
เล็บ
Make sure you hammer the nail into the right place. Nauseous.
คลื่นไส้
I was so nervous, I even felt nauseous. Neglected.
ถูกทอดทิ้ง
The tree houses were built in neglected corners of the park. Nostril.
รูจมูก
It was so cold my left nostril actually froze. Obey.
เชื่อฟัง
If you want to visit the museum you have to obey some rules. Panic.
ตื่นตกใจ
It was dark and I was alone so I began to panic. Praise.
ชื่นชม
My teacher was generous in her praise of my project. Profusely.
สวัย
I thanked her profusely for her kind help. Proverb.
สุภาษิต
A proverb usually states a general truth. Prune.
กรุณ
When will you prune the cherry tree? Publish.
เผยแพร่
Her new book of poems will publish in 2020. Relief.
การบรรเทา
It was such a relief when they finally found the missing girl. Ridiculous.
หน้าขัน
Don't be ridiculous. Of course I didn't steal your sandwich. Rumor.
ข่าวลือ
I heard he's been sacked, but it might just be a rumor. Sled.
เลื่อน
I'm taking my sled to slide downhill over the snow. Solitude.
ความสันโดษ
I like living alone. I enjoy the freedom and the solitude. Spot.
จุด
I knew he was up in the tree, but I couldn't spot him. Sprint.
วิ่ง
A quick sprint start is essential to win the race. Stuffy.
อบอ้าว
The taxi was stuffy and hot, so I opened the window. Stunning.
น่าทึ่ง
You look absolutely stunning. Sweat.
เหงื่อ
I often sweat when I'm nervous. Touching.
สัมผัส
Her story of reconciliation was very touching. Undetected.
ตรวจไม่พบ
The tree houses often went undetected for a long time. Absent-minded.
เหม่อลอย
He often forgets where he puts things. He's so absent-minded. Argumentative.
โต้แย้ง
Don't be so argumentative. Don't argue about everything. Auction.
ประมูล
I bought this vintage bike from an eBay auction. Breadwinner.
คนหาเลี้ยงครอบครัว
I'm the breadwinner in my family. My husband looks after the kids. Carefree.
ที่ไร้กังวล
I was so carefree when I was young. Clumsy.
ซุ่มซ่าม
I'm always dropping things. I'm so clumsy. Courtship.
การเกี่ยวพาราสี
We had an old-fashioned courtship before he proposed. Crouch.
หมอบ
We had to crouch to avoid being seen by the school principal. Dismal.
กลุ้มใจ
I had some dismal teachers when I was in primary school. Distressing.
น่าวิตก
I don't read newspapers. I find him too distressing. Dry.
แห้ง
Who says Latin is a dry subject? I think it's very interesting. Dumpy.
ขยะ
You look dumpy in that dress. Dusk.
พลบค่ำ
Bye for now. I'll be back before dusk. Easygoing.
ง่ายไป
I'm easygoing. Nothing really upsets me or angers me. Ecstatic.
ปลาบปลื้ม
I was ecstatic. He was just what I was looking for. Flushed.
แดง
You look flushed. Are you sure you're feeling okay? Freak.
ประหลาด
He was swept out to sea by a freak wave. Furious.
กราดเกรี้ยว
I was so furious I slammed the door in his face. Gangly.
ยุ่งเหยิง
You're not gangly. You're just tall and thin. Genuinely.
อย่างแท้จริง
The house genuinely reflects Victorian times. Ghastly.
น่าสยดสยอง
The weather was ghastly so we stayed in. Giggle.
ข
The joke was so good that I couldn't help but giggle. Glow.
ำเรืองแสง
My remarks made the teacher glow with gratitude. Gratitude.
ความกตัญญู
He expressed his gratitude to the audience. Halcyon.
ครึ่ง
She loved old films because they represented a halcyon time. Immaculate.
ไม่มีที่ติ
My home is immaculate. You won't find a bit of dust. Innocent.
ผู้บริสุทธิ์
Those days were so innocent and carefree. Insanely.
เมามัน
My boyfriend is insanely jealous. Ladylike.
เหมือนผู้หญิง
Many still think it isn't ladylike to work in construction. Last.
ล่าสุด
Things were built to last in the old days. Like-minded.
มีใจเดียวกัน
Our social life revolves around visiting like-minded friends. Loo.
ห้องน้
I can't believe your house has an outdoor loo. Lovingly.
ำด้วยความรัก
He picked up the flowers lovingly. Ordeal.
การทดสอบ
Shopping in supermarkets can be an ordeal. Pantry.
ตู้กับข้าว
Everything in my pantry is Victorian, including the crockery. Patronize.
อุปถัมภ์
Don't patronize me. I know what I'm doing. Pinny.
พินนี่
I fastened my pinny round my waist and started cooking. Plump.
อวบอ้วน
He's short and a bit plump, so he rarely wears a suit. Poke.
โผล่
Don't poke him in the back. He finds it annoying. Protective.
ป้องกัน
My parents can be very protective sometimes. Razor sharp.
คมกริบ
My math teacher had a razor sharp wit. He was so much fun. Resit.
นั่ง
I failed my exam so I'll have to do a resit in May. Restore.
คืนค่า
I'm going to restore the house so it looks more modern. Revolve.
หมุน
My grandma's life revolved around my granddad. Rotten.
เน่าเสีย
Don't take it badly, but you're a rotten cook. Self-obsessed.
หลงตัวเอง
Your problem is you're self-obsessed. Slam.
สแลม
Please shut the door gently, don't slam it. Spoil.
เสีย
Don't spoil your child with treats. Stubborn.
ดื้อดึง
Don't be so stubborn and listen to my suggestion. Supportive.
สนับสนุน
My parents were very supportive about my career change. Tease.
หยอกล้อ
My dad used to tease me all the time just for a laugh. Tight.
แน่น
This skirt is too tight. I can't walk in it. Treat.
รักษา
My mum always brought a treat from her business trips. Twee.
ทวีต
I didn't like the film. It was a bit twee for my taste. Tire.
ยาง
I think you have to inflate this tire. It looks a bit flat. Waistcoat.
เสื้อกั๊ก
He bought a waistcoat for his brother's wedding. Whisper.
กระซิบ
She tends to whisper and I find it hard to hear what she says. Wobbly.
สั่นคลอน
My legs feel a bit wobbly. I can't walk properly. Yell.
ตะโกน
You don't need to yell. I can hear you pretty well. Amass.
สะสม
Richard III amassed an army of 12,000 men near Leicester. Banish.
ขับไล่
In the past, they could banish you from your homeland. Battle.
การต่อสู้
He was killed in 1485 in a battle. Beak.
จะงอยปาก
Male blackbirds have a yellow beak. Big-headed.
ยิง
Despite her success, she isn't big-headed. Brutality.
ความโหดร้าย
The Vikings were notorious for their brutality. Burial.
การฝังศพ
They found the site of Richard's burial. Carve.
แกะสลัก
The Vikings carved the letters of the alphabet on stone tablets. Coffin.
โลงศพ
They buried him without a coffin. Condition.
เงื่อนไข
The skeleton was found in good condition. Crops.
พืชผล
I grow my own vegetables and cereal crops. Cruel.
โหดร้าย
Sue says some really cruel things. Cunningly.
ตลบตะแลง
The document was cunningly hidden so no one could find it. Curved.
โค้ง
My spine is badly curved so I often have backache. Deduce.
อนุมาน
I won't give you the answer. You have to deduce it. Deformed.
พิการ
The skeleton had a deformed spine. Descendant.
ลูกหลาน
Benedict Cumberbatch is a descendant of King Richard III. Desolate.
อ้างว้าง
The place looked desolate. How could anybody live there? Drown.
จมน้
The sea is too rough. You'll drown if you dive in. Embark.
ำเริ่มดำเนินการ
I'm going to embark on a voyage of exploration as a marine biologist. Excavate.
ขุด
They had to excavate in a car park to find Richard's skeleton. Expedition.
การเดินทาง
My dad mounted an expedition to the Amazonia. Extort.
กันโชค
My ex-boyfriend tried to extort money from me. Ferocious.
ดุร้าย
The Vikings made a ferocious attack on an English monastery. Friary.
วัด
They buried his remains in a friary graveyard. Funeral.
งานศพ
I read a poem at my father's funeral. Genealogically.
ลำดับวงตระกูล
I can't believe you are genealogically linked to my grandma. Graveyard.
สุสาน
My granddad is buried in the city's graveyard. Grindstone.
หินเจียน
They sharpened their weapons with a grindstone. Hot-tempered.
อารมณ์ร้อน
Apparently, Eric the Red was hot-tempered and angered easily. Hunchback.
หลังค่อม
Richard III had a deformed spine and was a hunchback. Incessantly.
ไม่หยุดหย่อน
She talked incessantly for 2 hours. Intrigued.
ทึ่ง
I wanted to know the end of the story. I was intrigued. Jaw.
กราม
My jaw hurts and all I can eat is soup. Lamentable.
น่าเศร้า
The monastery is in a lamentable state. Light-hearted.
ใจบ้า
The play wasn't light-hearted, it actually made you think. Livestock.
ปศุสัตว์
I live in a farm where I tend the livestock. Monastery.
อาราม
There used to be a monastery here. Now it's all ruins. Muscular.
มีกล้ามเนื้อ
My legs aren't very muscular. I need to exercise more. Nimble.
ว่องไว
My child has a nimble mind. She learns very quickly. Ointment.
ครีม
Rub this ointment on your legs twice a day. Parliament.
รัฐสภา
The Althing is the oldest parliament in the world. Pillager.
ผู้ปล้นสะดม
I didn't steal the money. I'm not a pillager. Plead.
ขอร้อง
I'm not going to plead with them to set you free. Portray.
วาดภาพ
The novel portrays life in the 19th century. Raider.
ผู้บุกรุก
The Vikings were raiders. Reign.
รัชกาล
The Vikings reigned in Europe for 300 years. Remarkably.
อย่างน่าทึ่ง
The facial reconstruction looked remarkably similar to his portraits. Saga.
นักปรัชญา
The figure of Odin was taken out of a Viking saga. Seize.
ยึด
Richard III seized the throne from his brother's sons. Settlement.
การตั้งถิ่นฐาน
They've found a new Viking settlement near the coast. Site.
เว็บไซต์
Richard's burial site was found in a car park. Skeleton.
โครงกระดูก
The skeleton was in good condition. Skull.
กะโหลก
A facial reconstruction of the skull was made. Somersault.
ตีลังกา
He ended his routine in a somersault. Spine.
กระดูกสันหลัง
He had a disease which affected his spine. Steady.
คงที่
I might be old, but I still have a steady hand. Striking.
โดดเด่น
He looked striking with his long red hair. Subsequently.
ในเวลาต่อมา
There was a monastery here, which was subsequently destroyed. Suet.
น้ำมันแผ่น
I used suet for the pastry, that's why it's so tasty. Supple.
อ่อนนุ่ม
My grandma is still quite supple. She exercises every day. Tend.
มีแนวโน้ม
Could you tend the livestock while I'm away? Thereby.
ด้วยประการฉนี้
He answered all the questions, thereby winning the contest. Throne.
บัลลังก์
Both brothers fought for the throne of England. Tough.
ยาก
This steak is so tough. I can't chew it. Trim.
ตัดแต่ง
You're actually quite trim. Do you exercise a lot? Tyrant.
ทรราช
According to Shakespeare, Richard III was a hunchbacked tyrant. Ultimately.
ในที่สุด
12,000 Vikings ultimately settled in Iceland. Uncommonly.
ผิดปกติ
She was uncommonly relaxed before the exam. Victim.
เหยื่อ
Don't blame him, he's the victim. Warrior.
นักรบ
The life of a warrior was hard in the 8th century. Withered.
รีบ
He was born with a withered arm. Youth.
ความยาว
I've grown old now, but in my youth I could run a marathon. Bizarre.
แปลกประหลาด
I had a bizarre dream last night. Boast.
มู
I find it boring when people boast about their holidays. Brainwave.
คลื่นสมอง
A scientist connected her son to a brainwave machine. Button.
ปุ่ม
Will you help me undo the button? I can't reach it at the back. Buzz.
ฉวัดเฉวียน
I couldn't sleep because I could hear a fly buzz. Byproduct.
ผลพลอยได้
Butter is a byproduct of milk. Composition.
องค์ประกอบ
A composition is a work of music or literature. Contest.
ประกวด
A contest is a type of competition. Densely.
หนาแน่น
India is densely populated. Dominant.
ที่เด่น
Which is your dominant hand, the left or the right one? Excrete.
ขับถ่าย
The body can excrete up to 100 trillion bacteria a day. Follicle.
รูขุมขน
Some parasites inhabit hair follicles. Form.
รูปร่าง
Another life form that keeps us company is the parasite. Groggy.
เมา
I felt groggy after taking those pills. Ground.
พื้น
I was grounded for skipping my English lesson. Hideout.
ที่หลบภัย
As a kid, my treehouse was my favorite hideout. Inconsistency.
ความไม่ลงรอยกัน
There's some inconsistency between his words and his actions. Itchy.
คัน
My skin is dry and itchy. Lens.
เลน
The lens is behind the iris and it helps refract light. Mind-boggling.
เหลือเชื่อ
Our bodies are host to a mind-boggling number of bacteria. Monk.
พระ
He lived in a monastery as a monk. Munch.
เคี้ยว
Some parasites just munch dead skin cells. Painstakingly.
อย่างอุตสาหะ
Monks had to painstakingly transcribe every letter of a word. Presumably.
สันนิษฐาน
Presumably I'm going to get a big bonus next month. Proper.
เหมาะสม
I phoned her because I wanted to have a proper chat. Random.
สุ่ม
Some dreams look pretty random. Recurring.
เกิดซ้
I had a recurring nightmare that I was eaten by a sea monster. Refuse.
ปฏิเสธ
Some parasites act as invisible refuse recyclers. Rehearse.
ซ้อม
I have to rehearse before the audition. Sack.
กระสอบ
I heard they're going to sack Susie. Scabies.
หิด
Scabies is a skin disease. Signal.
สัญญาณ
Flies have speedy brain signals. Species.
สายพันธุ์
How many species live in or on the human body? SWAT.
หน่วยสวาท
Why is it so difficult to swat a fly? Tedious.
น่าเบื่อ
Copying books during the Middle Ages was a tedious task. Tense.
เครียด
Don't tense your muscles. You're trying to relax. Transcribe.
ถอดความ
Monks spend their lives transcribing books. Trick.
เล่ห์เหลี่ยม
Are you trying to trick me into giving you money? Urgently.
อย่างเร่งด่วน
He needed his medicine urgently, so I ran to the pharmacy. Vast.
กว้างใหญ่
Vast numbers of bacteria live in our body. Adolescent.
วัยรุ่น
Most adolescents aren't ready to sleep until late at night. Apparent.
ชัดเจน
It's become apparent that we must consider our body clocks. Attitude.
ทัศนคติ
What's your attitude to punctuality? Beautician.
ช่างเสริมสวย
I went to a beautician to get a beauty treatment. Bonding.
พันธะ
I find workplace bonding very important. Burst.
ระเบิด
A burst of physical activity in the morning might be risky. Censorship.
การเซ็นเซอร์
You can't deny there was censorship in the media in those days. Circadian.
วงจรชีวิต
Circadian rhythms act as our inner body clocks. Cloud.
คลาว
Lack of sleep can cloud your mind. Cortisol.
คอร์ติซอล
Cortisol is a stress hormone. Cushy.
สบาย
I can't complain. I have a cushy life as a gardener. Dash.
เส้นประ
If you don't want to dash, just leave a little bit earlier. Dawdle.
อึดอาด
I love to dawdle on Sunday mornings. Dawn.
รุ่งอรุณ
A new day is about to dawn and so the cycle begins again. Dementia.
ภาวะสมองเสื่อม
Getting light during the day helps with dementia. Deposit.
เงินฝาก
They won't give us a mortgage until we get the deposit. Digest.
ย่อยอาหาร
As the body digests food, it produces insulin. Downsize.
ลดขนาด
She had to downsize the garden when she got old. Enemy.
ศัตรู
When you have a cold, your body fights that internal enemy. Expenses.
ค่าใช้จ่าย
This bill is for work, so you can put it on expenses. Eyesight.
สายตา
Our eyesight becomes weaker with age. Folks.
คน
I met some folks at the pub. Frantic.
คลั่ง
My life is often frantic, running from one place to another. Gently.
ค่อย
It's best to gently move into the day. Insomnia.
ๆ นอนไม่หลับ
I suffer from insomnia, so I'm tired most of the time. Insulin.
อินซูลิน
Insulin triggers the release of serotonin and melatonin. Intense.
เข้มข้น
It's best to avoid intense bursts of activity in the morning. Internal.
ภายใน
Our immune system fights our internal enemies at night. Lousy.
หมัด
Time is a lousy beautician. Muse.
รำพึง
I have no time to muse on my problems. Non-stop.
ไม่หยุด
My dad worked non-stop for years before he retired. Peak.
จุดสูงสุด
Mental performance is at its peak from 10 o'clock to 12 p.m. Prioritize.
จัดลำดับความสำคัญ
I prioritize. I do the important things and put off the rest. Productivity.
ผลผลิต
My productivity drops when I'm tired. Puberty.
วัยแรกรุ่น
My eldest daughter has reached puberty. Redundancy.
ความซ้ำซ้อน
Sadly, I've been told I'm on the redundancy list. Refreshed.
สดชื่น
I felt refreshed after the holiday. Release.
ปล่อย
Insulin triggers the release of serotonin and melatonin. Screech.
กรีด
His brother hit him, making him screech. Shattered.
แตกเป็นเสี่ยง
I'm absolutely shattered after the conference. Shift.
กะ
Body clocks shift forward after puberty. Shove.
ผลัก
You don't have to shove people out of the way. Smoothly.
อย่างราบรื่น
Everything was running smoothly, so I left the office. Soar.
ทะยาน
A sudden increase of activity makes our blood pressure soar. Stimulant.
กระตุ้น
Cortisol can be a useful stimulant in the morning. Struggle.
การต่อสู้
I struggle at night because I suffer from insomnia. Tackle.
แท็กเกิล
How do you tackle all the things you have to do each day? Thicken.
ข้น
Our blood thickens while we sleep. Trigger.
สิ่งกระตุ้น
Insulin triggers the release of serotonin. Vigorous.
แข็งแรง
Is vigorous exercise a good kickstart? Vital.
สำคัญยิ่ง
You'd assume a love of animals is vital for a vet.